When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling.
He crushed it.
I'm high on
It's a grand slam.
but you're in love with me.
I'm telling you, it's time to party.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to SoxHub episode 24, home of the 43-37 third place Boston Red Sox. I am your host, Brandon McAlery, and alongside me is the one, the only, the zesty lefty slinger himself, Trotty Too Hottie, aka Matt Trotta. How you doing?
You know how it be, Mac. Living the dream, running at God's speed. How about yourself, buddy?
I'm doing phenomenal because, as you know, we've had a pretty eventful past couple of days with a lot of big news all around for the pod, personal life, everything like that.
Yes,
First thing I'm absolutely going to shout out right off the bat. This episode is presented by, and this is real this time. No bullet slider whiskey, no Geno's candles. This is real. This episode is presented by 44 Pro Custom Gloves. You heard that right.
Wow. Unbelievable. What a time to be alive here.
It really is.
You need
First,
custom baseball gloves, you said?
oh yeah, custom baseball gloves, custom batting gloves. They do all types of guards, from the elbow guards to your shin guards. You can put a little foot paddle over it. They have all the different types of elbow just guards in generals that you can use. And their gloves are what they're most famously known for. I know you have one, a little catcher,
Yes, I do.
lefty's catcher's mitt that's caught over probably 1,000 bullpens. No wonder your back is
easily.
the way it is.
Yeah.
But-
that glove has saved my life many times. It's well over 3 years old at this point. A relic of a glove with how much use it's had, and it stayed intact for the most part. And every single time that it has gotten damaged or a lace is popped, all I've had to do is send it back to them, and they take care of it. It's a pretty legit company. They started out in California, just in like a little warehouse working together, and kind of grew and blew up. They have a lot of sponsors in the MLB. You see those gloves all the time. You see it in MLB The Show, and you can swag out your creative player with it too. And now you can kind of do that yourself with the SoxHub official discount code. And Mac, what was that discount code again that you can use at Pro44 Custom Gloves?
At Pro44 Custom Gloves or 44pro.com, you use promo code SoxHub10. That is SoxHub10, SoxHub10 for 10% off your order. That's right.
Pretty good deal.
Pretty good deal to go. Like listen, we know a ton of baseball players, whether you're 30 years old and you play softball, you're a coach that just wants to have a swagged out glove, you're a player that wants a fresh glove that the real life MLB players use. Now you get an additional 10% off when you go and order with promo code SoxHub10.
Hey, and if you want a custom bat, they got you on that too, man. What a treat. And you don't see that every day, man. Custom baseball bat that you can use in your games that's not going to get you tossed out of the game too. Oh, unbelievable what you can do with baseball swag nowadays. Thanks to 44 Pro.
Amen. And they have the old oven mitts that we love on this podcast.
If you go and buy a SoxHub oven mitt, please, just whatever you do, just don't let it distract you from getting your sign or get picked off. Dude, I saw that happen this weekend in a game. A kid putting on the oven mitt and he got picked off because he was distracted with that. I thought of you right away, and I thought about our little tangent regarding it. Yep.
Benches.
I love that my 14-year-olds, if they didn't get this, like if they're rushing and stuff, they'll just throw the oven mitt at me at the first base coach's box instead of just putting it on and continuing to put it on. Like they now kind of get through, like me just drilling them about it, that the sign's more important, and get off and do the right physical things that you need instead of worrying about your oven mitt for a pitch.
I love it. By the way, if you hear dog stuff here, I apologize. I'm going to try to mute my mic as best I can, but my dog's on like cocaine or something tonight because she just wants to play.
Oh, Jesus. That's all good, dude. Don't worry about it. You know, the dog's a little rowdy, wants a little love, wants a little playtime. But you know what? Oh, he's got a friend, dude. You know, they can go play together. It's great.
So I
You're
have
just
two
getting
dogs.
grilled in the background right
I
now.
was going to say, I have two dogs. I have a Border Collie German Shepherd mix and a Yellow Lab, and the Border Collie Maxie, like she just wants to play 24/7, and the other dog, Lucy, who's a Yellow Lab, literally wants nothing to do with playing, like zero. Like this dog, like Maxie will corner Lucy, and like you can just tell Lucy's like scared. She's like, "Mom, Dad, help me!" And then Maxie will go and attack her, and she runs away and she sprints right inside, like she wants nothing to do with playing.
They
But
couldn't have more polar opposite dogs there.
polar opposites. We got him at we got Lucy, our second dog, as a friend for Maxie, so that she would have somebody to hang out with and play with. And yeah, that couldn't have backfired anymore.
You had good heart, good intentions
Yeah,
involved.
the intentions were in the right spot. She is freaking spastic right now. But
Just excited about the Sox.
Yeah, she's excited about the Sox. And you know what she's actually really
And the
excited
new
about?
sponsor.
The
What?
new sponsor. But what she's most excited about is our Monday episode and what's going to happen on that one. And let me tell you, we have a very special guest joining us for the SoxHub episode 25. Next episode. Very special guest. Longtime person with the Red Sox. You've probably heard of him before, I would say. You probably hear from him a lot. And Trotter, you're going to have to bleep this out because I really just want to tease it a little bit more. But your boys are getting Lou Merlone on the podcast. Bingo!
Oh, hey now.
Mhm.
Again, what a time to be alive. Really excited to talk to this individual about the game, about what we see. And just, you know, we share a really common thing with him, a common love, a common passion, and it's the beautiful game of baseball, specific to the Boston Red Sox. It's going to be a great time. Get ready for it. Pop your popcorn, grab your soda pop, pour yourself a nice 4-finger glass of bullet slider whiskey, kick the feet up, grab the missus, bring her on down to the couch too, pour her a little glass of vino, and enjoy the ride with Loomer fucking Loney, baby. Let's go.
Probably should have covered your mouth on that in case people watch the pod.
I'll blah, 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 that shit all day, and they're gonna be like, who? Oh,
Yeah, I love it. And you know what? Even if literally 8 people listen to it or 1,000, I don't care. I'm just excited to talk to this man. It's going to be a fun time. It really
Yes, sir.
is.
Just
And the
excited to pick his
exciting,
brain.
I was gonna say the exciting thing too is this all happened in the same day between the new sponsor and getting our special guest.
Within 15 minutes of one another.
Yep, it was an electric day that we were having. I was on cloud 9, and it was just amazing. I will say that. Last bit of tidbit news. So I went to Zach Bryan last night in Gillette Stadium, and he, by the way, if anybody here's a country fan or anything like that, electric live, like 1,000 times better, like live than over the radio or on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you listen to. He was just so good, man. It just electric. It was downpouring at certain points and stuff like that, but I digress. I don't want to rub it in too much. It was an awesome concert. It was beautiful. But right before, too, my wife and I announced that we are expecting and we are having a baby in December. So little baby Trotty over here is not going to be alone this year.
Hell yeah, baby. Congratulations.
Thank you. The SoxHub boys are going to be dads.
Can you believe it? Unbelievable.
Unbelievable,
selfishly, I'm hoping for a male McAlary to pop out, so we have people that we can pass this down to one day. That'd just be a beautiful treat. Now, wouldn't it?
I mean, who's to say? There's plenty of female podcasts out there that cover the Red Sox and whatnot, so you never know.
But just the same exact, type of dynamic we got going here, pick up right where we left off. It would be poetic, if anything.
That would be pretty poetic to sit there and pass that down. Huh. Maybe we'll be doing
You
this for
boys
20
are
years.
ready. Yeah, you boys are ready.
It is time. Hand him the keys to the castle.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
I love it.
That'd be
But
beautiful.
yeah,
Have a whole
that's our
ceremony for them.
like robes on and shit like that, and you have like the
Bobby
type of thing.
Dolbeck, Bobby Dolbeck.
That'd be electric in a very lightly dim room or
Oh yeah,
lightly lit
candles.
room,
All
candle lit
candles.
room.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby
Oh.
Dahlbeck just takes off his hood and hands the keys.
I don't think you gentlemen are ready for this. Oh,
With
we
great
are
power,
not.
with great power comes great responsibility.
You don't just take over the city of Worcester in one night.
No, in Bob's case, he does it for multiple seasons.
Yeah. Oh, god damn it, dude. I sent you
Oh,
that, right?
so
That he
I was-
went
yeah,
Yabo
so-
for the Woo Sox again.
I was just gonna say, so you text me, right? And you're like, Bob went yard, and I was like, no fucking way, let's fucking go. I then forgot that Bob got sent down to AAA, and I was like, hey, because you sent me the tweet, and it was a video, it was him in Worcester, and I was like, I almost thought you were fucking with me, like I don't know why. It was just, I was like, it was almost like a slight disappointment that like he actually hit a homer for Worcester and not the
I
Red
didn't mean
Sox.
to let
And
you
it's like,
down. I
I was
thought I
like,
was firing you up.
no, you did for a brief minute there. I was through the moon, and then I looked and saw it was Worcester, and I was like, fuck, I forgot he got demoted.
Unfortunately, he is still in the Woo, but yeah, he's back. Bob is back, and he is back to being Superman.
Yep, he is Mark McGuire down there whenever
Mm,
it comes calling. I love that man.
never a doubt.
Never a doubt. But all right, let's talk about some of this stuff here. So one thing,
Bobby Dolbeck, Bobby Dolbeck. Oh god, that's great. What were you wanting to talk about? I'm sorry.
um, so I just want to say, game one of this year was easily the most electric game I've watched this year. Like from the crowd to the atmosphere to the actual play, the results, everything like that was easily the most fun, most emotionally invested I've been in a game this year. And just like that, like I had chills during that game. I thought we were playing for the ALCS right then and there.
Yeah, on the broadcast too, they mentioned how it almost felt like a playoff atmosphere there that night as well. You got to love that, especially when we were down by 4 yet again, huh? And we came back out of fucking nowhere. It's a real shame that, like, not to jump ahead here, but in this specific game, for the individuals that we brought up, they were magnified big time in that game one, and those two individuals had very negatively impactful days at the yard. Isaiah Campbell was the one that kind of gave up those 3 runs. Not kind of, he did. Not to jump ahead, man, but like he shit the bed. Heineman, I'm the goat at name pronunciations, but Tyler Heineman, right? Very
That
good.
is correct.
Thank Christ. 1 for 15 on the year there for name pronunciations here for Chiboy. But yeah, he didn't do too well at the plate either in game one, if I recall. So it was just a rough day, but it's more magnified by Sheriff Campbell.
Game one, he was a pinch hitter, I believe, late game
And he
replacement,
punched, right?
because Reese came out for a pinch runner, and then either Wong was
No,
already in the game or something like that.
Paternity list.
Oh yeah, paternity leave. Yeah, that's right. And so they had no other option then to put him in. But
Side
yeah,
note, shout out to Connor Wong too, since we're talking about babies. He just became a dad. And god damn it, normally when baseball players come back from paternity leaves, they have this newfound strength. They call it dad strength. And they just go on a tear and normally hit a home run the next day. Not to spoil a slippery pick upcoming, but yeah. Shout
Did
out
you
to
write
Connor
that
Wong,
down?
new father.
To say that, okay. You did not write that down. That makes me happy.
No, nothing yet.
Okay.
We're on the same page.
We might be. Anyways, Yeah, shout out to Connor Wong. Congrats on being a dad, man. Not a dad yet, but I'm sure it's got to be very exciting when that moment happens. Ironically enough, little Rafi is actually due in December.
Hey, that's sick.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
On
Speaking of which,
your
yeah, I
damn
have a
radio.
December baby coming, and right December 19th should be Christmas time, around that time in that time frame. So yeah, me and little Raph are just gonna have a baby at the same time, about like 40 years apart. It feels like, because
No big
I'm
deal.
30 and he's like 20, but
Slap it in the whole same school system as little Rafi's kid.
amen,
Get them
amen.
all buddy buddy. They play
Uh huh.
baseball together. They go
Uh
on a
huh.
dynamic duo there.
Um,
Because he ain't going anywhere.
no, no, he's not. No, he is not. So, as you know, a lot of our topics that we want to discuss today, especially as I look back at them and rereading them, all have to do with these games. So, you know what? Why don't we just dive into game one?
Do it. We
Let's
already
do it.
kind of did in a sense.
We already kind of did, in a sense. For some reason, I stopped taking notes after a certain point, and it might have just been because I was like that excited during it, and I ended up just like texting you the entire time. But I do have a few, just like 3 notes, nothing crazy. But anyways, game 78 of the year versus Toronto. We have Tanner Houck versus Chris Bassett, a rematch of the last series that we faced them. We already kind of did the series look ahead, so you know what they did. Now, with Tanner Houck on the mound, you're feeling as comfortable as ever. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, like no matter what, we have a chance to win this game.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Facing Chris Bassett made me slightly nervous because he seems like the type of pitcher that is like, he just knows how to pitch, and it goes to him calling his own pitches. Like, he has the ability to call his own pitches, so the pitching staff trusts him, or the coaching staff trusts him to do it. His catcher obviously trusts him and whatnot, so he calls his own pitches. And I guess where I'm going with this is Chris Bassett made me slightly nervous just because of the fact that I feel like after the first start wasn't that great for him, that he was like, okay, I need to make adjustments versus lineup. And in fairness, he really did. He really did.
He didn't have to make too many adjustments from last start, considering how well the last one went against us as well.
Didn't he let up 4 runs though, or was it 2?
Three,
Oh,
I
it was
believe.
3. Okay,
2 or
all
3.
right, so it wasn't that bad.
No, so these outings were pretty mirrored for the most part. Outside of the innings pitched, I think he went one additional inning than last time. With
Gotcha.
7.
The big difference in this game, though, than any other game of the year is, as everybody knows that probably listens to this podcast, the Boston Celtics won the NBA championship, so they were in attendance at the game, and they did a whole little celebration for them at the pregame, and they're all out there, and you got JT and what's it called, Jaylen Brown walking out there, and they're holding up the Larry O'Brien trophy or whatever it is,
Right.
holding up some championship trophy for another sport that's not the World Series. Trophy. Yeah. No, I think it's Larry O'Brien trophy.
Something.
Yeah. And they're out there walking, out there holding it up, and the crowd is just going utterly insane. And I will tell you right now, the one thing that the broadcast actually has done well this year was they took advantage of, and I think maybe it was Carabas who said this on the broadcast, because he was in there for a few innings, because they did the broadcast up in the Monster for game one, and somebody had said it, but like, they did a really good job of honing in on the Celtics when they needed to with the cameras to get the crowd like roaring and like really into it. And I definitely think that played a factor into why the crowd was what it was that night. Because again, all you heard was like, "Let's go Red Sox" chants literally all night, and it, like, even the broadcast, dude, like you could hear the noise level like through the broadcast. Like, normally you listen to a game and like you hear like the normal chatter and stuff like that. Yeah, the subtleties, the normal chatter, like you could almost hear the dugout talking at that point. You know what I mean? This game, couldn't hear any of that. Like, there was times I was struggling to even hear the broadcast because the fans were just that loud at Fenway Park.
Times are changing quick.
Times are changing quick. All right, let's recap this game a little bit because this I might talk about this game for a little bit here because I just had a serious amount of enjoyment watching this. So Tanner Houck and Chris Bassett are pretty much going pitch for pitch here going into this a little bit. It's about 4 innings into this game and there's only a couple hits, nothing crazy. But in the top of the fourth, Justin Turner singles on a ground ball to center field, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, IKF, scores, makes it 1-0. Still not worried through 4 innings, but you're like, okay, 1-0. Houck's human. He lets up a run here and there. But then you go fast forward right to the bottom of the fourth, and you have Rafael Devers hit a 2-run home run that scores him and Jarren Duran to make it 2-1. And right after that, I was immediately fired up because we had hit a point in this game where Houck was getting close to his K total and Devers hit a home run, which, not to jump ahead here to slippery picks, but your boy told you that Devers was going to be due and a hot streak was coming.
That you did.
That you did. That's a tough one to overcome here. Because I was harping on that. Then Tanner Houck gets pulled after going 6.2 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks. And his line, I think, was set at 5.5 on FanDuel. So if you tailed that,
yes,
you're welcome. Thank you, Trotta. After that, we bring in Sheriff Campbell. Isaiah Campbell himself, he's resurrected from the dead from his shoulder impingement. And things didn't really go that well for him after that. Yeah.
No, the wheels fell off rather quick on him, and it was unfortunate because I believe there was an inherited runner on for Tanner there.
I believe there was too, and it might have been the Spencer Horwitz single or something like that that scored a run, and then they might have brought in Isaiah Campbell at that point. I forgot to be 100% honest with you. This is one of the worst things about being an adult is like I have ADHD, so like in the moment I'm like, let's freaking go. I'm not going to forget this for the podcast, and then come podcast time, have zero idea. Anywho, I get sidetracked. I digress a little bit here. Campbell comes in, and it was just atrocious. Like, and I mean that respectfully because I do still see some upside in Campbell. But like immediately, just you could tell didn't have it. He pitched a third of an inning, 3 hits allowed, 3 runs, 1 K. One of the runs that he allowed, well, actually, I should say all 3. All 3 of the runs that he allowed was on a Vladimir Guerrero home run. And it was
his
absolute.
Earned, yes.
Yes, his earned. It was an absolute dick shot. Like that thing.
113.
Yeah, 113. I think it went like 4. It definitely, obviously went 4, but it was over the monster.
471.
Clear over 471.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big boy hack. My God.
26 degrees, 113. Went
26, 113. That is literally the sweet spot of where you'd want to hit something. Like I don't think he could square. Like he might be able to hit a ball 118, 120, but he ain't doing it at a 26 degree launch angle. It doesn't get much better than that.
Freakish, dude.
Anyways, this is not a Toronto Blue Jays podcast. But there was a picture I saw. Somebody had tweeted it of the ball like landed on like the top of a parking garage or something like that on top of a roof and was just sitting on there. It was hit that far. Absolute moonshot off Isaiah Campbell. And now the Toronto Blue Jays in the top of the 7th lead 6-2. Okay. Mm-hmm. They scored 5 runs that inning. Wasn't overly impressed with Campbell. Did you see anything that you were like, this seems off, he doesn't seem comfortable, anything like that?
He just looked mid.
He just looked mid. For me, what I remembered like thinking was they had Chase Anderson or they had Winkowski warming up with Campbell. And I'm thinking to myself, even immediately when they called in Campbell, I was like, we're going to bring Campbell right now in a one-run game. Like, the guy has not pitched in a major league game since April 13th or whatever it was. And we're going to bring in Isaiah Campbell right now. I didn't feel overly confident with that choice right off the bat.
I did to a certain extent because you gotta respect the ability he has in spinning the rock with his breaking ball. It's
Absolutely.
probably one of our better breaking balls out of the bullpen, and in that spot, generally, Vladimir Guerrero's been absolutely mashing the sinkers and fastballs that we've thrown at him so far in these first 4 games that we've talked about, going back to that Toronto series. So they were probably thinking logically, outside of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., that this Spencer Horwitz guy struggles on hitting fastballs, struggles on hitting the breaking pitch. And what better guy to call out of your bullpen to do that than Sheriff Campbell? Just no, I agree with you. It's his first outing back. You're going to bring him in a 3-2 ball game. That's a lot of trust. I respect the fuck out of it. But with Wink ready to go right next to him, being as consistent as he has been out of the bullpen this year, and fuck it, even as an opener, I'd give it to the Wink Meister flex all day long in that spot, knowing that he's going to stay even keeled and get that job done, because he's done that before in that situation.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. Like, he's proven that he can do that in those tough spots right there. Where Campbell, again, not that he wasn't proven, and I do believe that his ERA spiked after this game because obviously he let up a 3-run homer. But like his ERA, I don't think shows how. I don't want to say how well he's pitched, but I don't think his ERA is an indicator of how bad or how good or bad he actually is. And I know that's a very common take, like ERA is not an end all be all. And I think he's been much better than his 16.20 current ERA. But that choice to bring him in, I just would have liked to see him in like a lower leverage situation where if
especially first time back,
yeah, especially first time back. Anyways, he comes in, lets up 4 runs, one of them being the inherited runner, and then the 3-run homer to Vladdy Jr. All hope seems lost at this moment. However, the next inning rolls around, and we go into the bottom of the 8th. Okay. And I remember texting you, and I said, Trotta, these are the games that good teams win right now. Okay. Down 4, down 6-2 is the score. You're going into the bottom of the 8th. These are games that good teams come back and find a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? Jarren Duran works a walk, gets on base. Nah, maybe he might have hit a double. Now that I'm thinking about it, my bad. Hit a double, gets on base.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd starts getting into it. And this is where the crowd, I think, played a huge, huge factor, okay? Because they just started going bananas. Jarren Duran gets on. David Hamilton comes up, the unsung hero of the Boston Red Sox, okay? He comes up, and he hits a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 8th to make it 6-4. And it felt like we won the World Series after that home run with how loud Fenway was rocking. Again, I'm going to talk about how loud they were probably this entire podcast because that was energy that just brought me the chills. And I was jumping up and down when he hit that home run. I went nuts. And I even ended up tweeting, like, this is a game that good teams win. Like, David Hamilton, 2-run homer, 6-4. You start feeling a little juicy, all right? A little juicy in there. Then Rafael Devers gets on. Tyler O'Neill gets on. I'm sorry, Rob Refsnyder gets on. Rafael Devers gets on. Now comes to Tyler O'Neill. Runners are on 2nd and 3rd right now. 2 outs. And they decide to walk Tyler O'Neill. So now 1 out. We're loading the bases with 1 out. And I believe at this time, somebody was coming up. I forgot who. What are you saying, Horns up?
There's 2 outs, 2nd and 3rd, and they intentionally walked Rob Refsnyder.
Oh, because that's right.
Gonzalez.
That's right, because they had who they haven't. Well, Nate Pearson was just absolutely sucking, but he had coming.
Tim
He went
Miza.
2 2 1/3, and Miza. So they had Dom Smith, I think, was coming up. If anything, was it Dom Smith? Yeah. Anywho, they
And then
pinch
they
hit.
brought in Zach Pop
Yep.
to
So
face
they
Romy.
pinch hit Romy Gonzalez. They take out Tim Miza. They bring in Zach Pop. And what's Romy do on the first freaking pitch? Hits a line drive single over the shortstop head. And boom, immediately 2 runs come around to score. And the crowd goes absolutely bananas because the Red Sox score 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th to tie it 6-6. Now, at this point, I'm in my head, there is zero doubt in my mind that we lose this game. Like, zero doubt in my mind whatsoever. Even if it took extra innings, zero doubt in my mind. So they bring on Kenley. Kenley comes in. Again, you know the cutter's coming, yet you still can't hit it. Kenley goes 1 inning pitched with a K. And then that sets the stage. We go into the bottom of the 9th. Little Raffy leads off, and I
Most predictable bottom of the 9th in the world.
It really was. Little Raffy comes up to the plate in the bottom of the 9th to start off the inning, hits a 108-mile-an-hour ground ball to the second baseman, who is playing there, none other than Spencer Horwitz, which the Jays sacrificed a little defense to have the offense in the lineup because Spencer's been their hottest hitter, and he's normally a first or third baseman. They put him at second base. Can't handle it. Gets hit hard, and he ends up taking like a double, triple pump before he gets rid of it. And boom, little Raffy safe at first base. Okay. Now, again, crowd just going bananas. Not a single person sitting, not a single person not screaming for the Red Sox right now and chanting. Okay. Jarren Duran steps to the plate. Okay. So all you hear is.
It did it.
Oh, I couldn't hear it.
Did it on my end.
All right. Anywho.
Man is playing again, baby. Acapella. Excuse me, encore.
Do you want more?
Yeah, one
There
more
it
time.
is. Sorry. Now I heard it. My bad. Anywho, Jarren Duran comes up in the bottom of the 9th with Ceddanne Rafael on first base. He ends up getting Zach Pop to balk, which gets him to second base. Now he's in scoring position, and this game was just history after that. I don't care what was going to happen. I knew the Red Sox were going to win this game. Jarren Duran ends up hitting a line drive single for a base hit. Ceddanne Rafaela coming around, takes a quick peek right before he's about to slide. He slides in, touches home plate,
Good
jumps
throw
up.
by Springer.
It was. I mean, right from right field from there, it was pretty much right on the money for the most part. But just little Raffy's too fast in that situation. You got to send him, and I'll break that down in a minute. He touches home, jumps up, flips his helmet off. Everybody goes and sprints after for Jarren Duran and whatnot. And it was just one of the most electric games. Easily the best win of the season. Coming down from down 4. Like, at this point, you can't count the Sox out of any game.
It's crazy that we're saying this when a month ago in May, man, we were talking about how after it's Sox are down by 4, you can turn off the game and go do whatever the hell else you want to do because they're not coming back and the game is over, no matter what inning it is.
It really is because, like, exactly, it's the bottom of the 8th. You're thinking, it's 6-2. Like, there's no way the Red Sox are going to come back from this game. But I will tell you now, I was glued to the TV. Like, I genuinely had zero doubt in my mind that we were still going to win this game down 6-2, that they were going to fight and claw back. Hence my text to you. This is the game that good teams win. Okay. I was just glued to the TV with the energy, like the energy of Fenway made me that much more into the game, I would say.
It was refreshing, man. It was the most refreshing thing of the year so far.
It was. It was.
A ravenous and rabid Fenway Park crowd, because you have not seen that this year. Even back in that Yankees series in Fenway, we were hearing "Let's go Yankees" chants more often and louder than we were hearing "Let's go Red Sox" or "Yankees suck" chants. Fast forward that 2-3 weeks later, and it's a completely different atmosphere in there now. Shout out to the Celtics for helping it out in game one right there, because that was massive. I have confidence that the Red Sox can get it done without them there, but low key, if the Red Sox ended up winning this series and playing 3 games, the Celtics were the SoxHub Series MVP vote for me, without a doubt. Because if that didn't happen, we're probably not coming back from a 4-run deficit there with 6 outs. Well, 5 outs, because we hit that David Hamilton home run with 1 out in the 8th inning.
Mm-hmm.
We would not do that with 5 outs, I think, if they're not there and the championship magic is not radiating through the stadium and through our TV sets.
I agree
But
wholeheartedly.
yeah, go Celtics. Shout out to them. Thanks for the win.
Shout out to them. That's all they do is win. It's amazing. But Jarren Duran walks it off. Sox win 7-6. They improved to 43-36 on the year. Again, Tanner Houck goes 6.2 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks, gets no decision. Campbell let up quite a few. Chase Anderson pitched an inning, and then Jansen got the win, his 3rd of the season, lowers his ERA to 2.30. Jarren Duran, 3 for 5, double, 2 runs, game-winning RBI. Hamilton, 1 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs. Devers, 3 for 4 with a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 runs. Yoshida went 2 for 3. Romy, pinch hit single, 2 RBIs, game-tying runs. It was electric. It felt like a playoff atmosphere. They're interviewing Duran after the game, and he's got his "fuck 'em" shirt on, and I absolutely
Yes, he does.
love that.
Oh, that got me fired up. You know what my background is, but for some of our listeners, they do not. It is a picture of Jarren Duran with his hand behind his back. As you know, he wears wrist tape, that is white wrist tape, and he every game writes down a different affirmation for himself. And the specific one that I have written down as the picture is "fuck 'em." He has "fuck 'em" just like it did on his shirt, and that picture was from opening day. So this is not a new thing. This has been a continuous affirmation that Duran has been using all year, and man, does it work for him.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I will say this, the broadcast in that game too was pretty cool because they had Millar on it, Uke, and OB, and then Carabas came in for a couple innings to talk as well. But the fact that they did it from the Monster, I thought that was awesome. I thought that was so freaking cool.
It was a very cool vibe. It was something different. And it was kind of refreshing. And I think that they liked it as the broadcasters themselves. It's a different perspective. It's a unique look, and they're truly outside. And I think they enjoyed that on the nice day compared to being cooped up in their little broadcast booth above home plate. I think they had much more space when they were sitting out in the Monster. They had like OB shunned like 50 feet further away than, like Millar and Uke and Carabas were sitting. It was a little weird how far away they had OB sitting from the rest of the pack.
It might have been though too, because like if you watch OB, he's kind of like turned like this and back a little bit, where everybody
might
was
have
kind
been
of
leaning.
straightforward.
Yeah.
So,
my other question for this whole broadcast thing for Nesson is, dude, they haven't updated Fenway Park one bit. How the hell did they get computer monitors, the TV monitors, all the equipment up there? Like, how did that happen? I can't imagine that Fenway Park has the electronic efficiency in the necessary amount of plugs in order for this process to work as efficiently as it did.
if you have enough money,
keep in mind,
you
we're
can make
talking
anything
about
happen.
the same company that can't get their streaming app to efficiently work on a day-to-day, game-to-game basis. It's crazy that like how well that goddamn Green Monster broadcast went, man. It was smooth. Yeah. It was a really cool, different look. I hope they do that more often, man, because I think it was very refreshing for just the broadcast group in general too. They had a different life outside of that little Celtics magic.
Yeah, and I think that's got to be pretty cool for the fans too, because they're right there seeing the broadcast happen as well. You got Uke, you got Millar. Millar is low-key unhinged. Like, not as bad as Pap. Like, Pap, no. I feel like you literally have no clue if he's going to sit there and talk about, like, anything that cannot be talked about. But like Millar just has no filter, is the way I'd put it. Like, and just with the stuff that he says. And to be honest with you, he was my mom's favorite player growing up. And so whenever he came up for the Red Sox, like she would always be like, "Oh, look, Daddy's on TV, honey."
Good
But
pick. Good pick.
yep, we were always big fans of Kevin Millar when we were younger. Actually, quick little funny story about Kevin Millar. So when he first came out with the show Intentional Talk with Chris Rose, and it was on MLB Network, I used to watch it every single day. And they would live tweet things. So like you could, send a tweet in live and they would read some of the questions live. And Kevin Millar, as we all know, or at least he used to, he would dye the tips of his hair blonde. And my dad used to do that. And so I tweeted at him, and I was probably in like 9th, 10th grade, maybe around that range when it came out. And so I tweeted at the show, I go, "Kevin, can you tell my dad that at, 45 or 40 years old, however old he was at the time ago, that it's not okay to bleach his tips unless he played for the MLB or something like that?" And Kevin Millar ends up reading the tweet out loud. And he said something along the lines of, he's like, "You tell your dad to keep bleaching his tips. Heck, for all that matter, bleach his entire head. I bet you he looks like an absolute champ with it."
Oh, damn, that's great.
And I was like, all right.
Having your dad's back.
Having my dad's back on that. But no, that was a pretty funny thing. But no, the broadcast was great on that game. The energy was absolutely electric. And afterwards was probably the most interesting aspect of the game, because Cora comes out with some comments here. And he does the post-game interview, and it's kind of funny if you ever watch the post-game interviews. Like, I almost feel like, this sounds terrible, but I almost feel like media members are like stupid and kind of ask very, very generic questions that are very vague. And I don't know if that's like the point of journalism. I have no idea. Not a journalist, so I would have no idea. But like, there are questions like, how do you feel with Rafi Devers hitting a home run? Well, it's good. Home runs are good. They help us win. Like, what do you want me to say to that? You know what I mean? Like, what was the decision to do this and do that? Like, it's just such like either teed up questions or just like questions that, in my humble opinion, nobody gives a fuck about whenever they talk about them.
I feel like it's either they're playing it very safe and don't want to cause any controversy and want the invite back for the next game, next home series, homestand. Or number two, some of these reporters just simply aren't baseball fans, don't understand the game, and they're just checking in, checking out, getting their report done so that they get their paycheck.
That's fair. And actually, I found this very interesting, and I didn't know this, but I was listening to Carabas talk about how he, like, originally, like, starting out as a younger man in like his 20s and stuff like that, would like apply to get press passes or like wanted to be part of the media. And they said, no, you can't be a fan of your team and be part of the media because it's biased pretty much. And, like it just doesn't make sense. So a lot of the journalists who cover the Red Sox are not actually Red Sox fans. They may not even be baseball fans, and they take a completely unbiased approach to how they go about things when they're doing their business. And I thought that was very interesting because, like I said, you just listen to some of the questions though, and it's just very generic questions that have like no depth to them. Like, I want to hear Cora sit there and be like, that's a good question. The reason I decided to do this and we sent this runner on this play, my mentality was this. Now, granted, I don't know how much Cora can talk about that stuff, like it's true game planning and execution and whatnot. But like, I don't know. From the media, I wish we get deeper questions like the ones that bring up when he's on the podium talking, how it's time to get greedy at the deadline. An exact quote from Alex Cora. It's time to get greedy at the deadline. In this news article, I read this one on CBS. He pretty much talks about how it's time to get greedy, time to invest in this team. This team is worth investing in. The past 2 years, we've done nothing. There's 3 things you can do. You can either buy, sell, or stay put. And if you stay put, you end up just mediocre like the rest. Like, it's not that you're a bad team. It's just other teams around you are getting better. And pretty much talks about how this team is worth investing in. And any move will help them just sustain the success that they've had. And I'm curious on your thoughts on this. I mean, obviously, we know we want this team invested in, but
So it's time to get greedy. I had the take after watching it all that he was talking about the division. Let's not just think about getting a wild card spot. Let's get greedy, like the 6th wild card spot specifically. Let's get greedy and think about the 5th, the 4th. How about the division? Why can't we talk about that? Why can't that be realistic right now for us this year? By the way we've been playing, by the minor 5-game to a week skid the Orioles have been on, the demise that we're seeing live in an action with the Yankees going on, the Blue Jays about to trade their whole entire core that they thought was going to be some sort of movie making multiple World Series appearances. And then you got the Tampa Bay Rays, who have been very quiet this year, hovering, doggy paddling around 500 ball. I believe they're 40 and 41 or something like that. They're just below 500 right now. But yeah, you have a strong indication that the Orioles, the Yankees, the Blue Jays for sure are going to make moves at the deadline. You know that the Orioles and Yankees are going to try and add and improve. So Cora was trying to say, like, these other teams around us outside of just our division are also going to want to get better and will get better. So if we do what we did kind of last year and kind of sit on our thumb and rotate, obviously that's not what Cora said at the podium. That's a little Trotta-ism there for you. He is saying that, like, instead of sitting and doing nothing like we've done in the past, we also need to be greedy in the trade deadline right here and go get guys that can help us not only this year, but in years future as well. I don't think he's saying let's trade the big 3 and anything like that. I think he wants to make tactical moves where he sees fit, similar to what we've talked about. A righty bat, we need that. Next, probably a little bit more bullpen help. And then most importantly, 1, if not 2, guys that can eat innings as starting pitchers and be effective for 5-6 strong innings on a consistent basis. Because going into game 2 here, man, we have a guy that is just imploding and reaching his demise more and more every single time he comes out, in Brian Bello. And it's getting close to the point that you got to almost find a replacement and throw him in the pen. Not saying throw him down to Worcester, but like you got to find an alternate route why he is struggling so bad. Again, it's only 1 inning, but like until he figures out his mentality and his mental space out there when he's struggling in that inning, I need him to figure it out in a lesser role. And by doing the whole entire bringing in a guy off of the trade market, you are taking a risk, yes, by giving up a potential prospect or giving up a current guy that's making an impact on the roster for a starting pitcher like this. But you're also potentially getting 2 aces in this deal by moving Brian Bello to a lesser role in the bullpen, doing a more advanced Chase Anderson, Brad Keller role. Bringing them in a low leverage spot when we're up by 4, up by 5, or we're down by a few runs a couple of times to give him more of that consistent confidence can go a long way. Now, on top of that, you bring in a guy that has been consistently getting 5-6 innings out of the way here so that the bullpen only has to throw, 9-12 outs. And then Brian Bello figures it out in the bullpen, gains his confidence. Him and Andrew Bailey figure stuff out during the All-Star game, and it shows true as we get past the trade deadline. Then all of a sudden, you got a guy in the bullpen that is ready to go. Start, God forbid, somebody falters like Cutter Crawford or Pivetta, Tanner Houck, what have you. And let's be real. The last piece here, Brian Bello is not a starting pitcher if the season ended today and we were going into the playoffs. It would be Tanner Houck, Cutter Crawford, and Nick Pivetta in my eyes for our 3. That would quickly move Brian Bello to the bullpen to treat it more like a Garrett Whitlock, Andrew Miller sort of role. So why not just rip the Band-Aid off now while he's struggling and put him in that role where you're realistically going to need him to be successful at come October, which is that anywhere between 3 outs to 9, 12 outs out of the bullpen. Because if I close my eyes right now, Mac, and I visualize Brian Bello doing what Josh Winkowski did in game 2 here, man, that gives me a big time tickle. Man, we talked about Brian Bello's arsenal the other day and how we think that he's not really succeeding because he might need a fourth pitch, excuse me. And it's not necessarily about that add of a new pitch. It's more of the add of the difference in velocity because he's attacking guys with two different velocity ranges. His fastball being one, and then that changeup and slider being in that same velocity realm between one another. That plays a little bit better out of a bullpen when you can slot it up for righty on right, or if the lefty's terrible against sinkers and changeups running away from them. It also will play better because he's only going to have to go one time through max out of the bullpen generally in the playoffs, or if we transfer him out there right now, similar to what we've done in the past with Whitlock, similar to what we've done with Houtsky, similar to what we've done with Pavetta, similar to what we've done with Cutter. And all of those guys have found great success doing that and have come back the year after being this year much stronger than before. It would be a good route if you're asking me, but I'm not Alex Cora. I'm not Andrew Bailey. We're going to go right into the Game 2 recap. I hope you don't mind, man. I didn't think you would. Game 2 was, a little bit of a bummer, not going to lie. It started off beautiful. Brian Bello looked really sharp for the first inning. First batter specifically. I mean, he punches out Brian Bello. Brian Bello punches out Bo Bichette pretty easily. And then, he hit Spencer Horwitz with a pitch, with a slider to be exact. But then I got to exhale pretty quick, I'm sure as you did, because he got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to quickly ground into a double play in a hitter's count, 2-1, believe it or not. Nothing really eventful happened from there until we got to the bottom of the second inning when Rafael Devers led off with a jack, his 16th of the year, to right center field. Shortly after that, the next at bat, they start to implode a little bit. Tyler O'Neill reached on an error by Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Hate to see it. Shortly after that, the next batter, Masataka Yoshida, doubles on a line drive to right field, and Tyler O'Neill scores from second base. Errors kill, Vladdy. Just ask the Red Sox from earlier on in the year. Moving forward here, this is where things got a little dicey for Brian Bello. And again, it's been one inning for the most part all year long with him, man. It's getting infuriating for me. Leadoff double by Danny Jansen. Then IKF singles. We got first and third. All right. Next, you got Kevin Kiermaier hitting a single. It's 2-2 now. There was a throwing error by Wilyer Abreu in right frickin' field on the hit. But, not great. Not great. 2-run score. Next after that, he can't get an out. He walks two straight guys, Bo Bichette and Spencer Horwitz. What happens next? Not an out. Vladimir Guerrero doubles his 14th of the year to center field. Kiermaier and Bichette score. Horwitz goes to third. It's 4-2, Toronto. Vibes are a little low. I'm not feeling too confident because I know right now I'm in the middle of my nightmare of Brian Bello implosion inning. Next at bat was Justin Turner, an old friend of ours. He grounded out productively to Dom Smith because that runner from third, Spencer Horwitz, comes in to score, making it 5-2 Toronto. That was the first out of the inning, that ground ball Justin Turner hit to Dom Smith over there. Next at bat, more misery. George Springer homer, 6th of the year to right center field. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. scores off of this as well as he moved over to third on Justin Turner's ground out. It is 7-2 Toronto. This is where Alex Cora had quite enough of Brian Bello, pulled him for our boy Greg Weissert. Greg Weissert makes quick work and gets the last 2 outs of the inning, getting Addison Barger to ground out and Danny Jansen to fly out. Yep, you heard Danny Jansen's name twice for the same inning. They batted around a professional MLB pitcher that was compared to Pedro Martinez through his come up here. Again, this is why I don't like the comparisons. Anyways, the Red Sox don't do much here. In the bottom of the third, top of the fourth, we make a pitching change and bring in the Winked Meister flex, Josh Winkowski. And he starts off really good, striking out IKF. Kiermaier gets a nice little single. Bo Bichette lines out the center field. Then he gets into a little bit of trouble by having that 2-out walk to Horwitz. And then Vladdy Jr. stays hot against the Red Sox like he has been doing all year. Hits a double, his 15th of the year, to left field. Kiermaier scored. And Tyler O'Neill has a throwing error, advancing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to third, while Horwitz scores on the error. It's 9-2 Sox now. Unlike Bello, Winkowski gathers himself mentally and gets a out after the error and after the location mistake to Vladimir on the double. 3 outs. Implosion saved by Wink. Fast forward a lot. We're going to the 6th inning. Tyler O'Neill steps up after a Rafael Devers double, and Tyler O'Neill hits a big fly over the green monster to make it 9-4. Outside of that, nothing really eventful happened in this game. Nobody else scored. Nothing else really happened cool. Toronto Blue Jays win that game 9-4. Red Sox go 43-37 now on the year. To summarize it, Brian Bello shot down his leg, 2 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 7 runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks, 1 home run. Falls to 7-5 on the year with a 5.55 ERA.
That's not good.
No, man, it was not. Shout out to Winkowski here. He saved our bullpen beyond belief, who needed it in a massive way, going 6 strong out of the pen. Yeah, he had 2 earned, but 2 runs, but man, in 6 innings, only having 7 base runners and then 8 strikeouts. Big tip of the cap to Wink Dog, saving the pen. Kevin Gausman on the back end of this for the Toronto Blue Jays went 6 innings, 3 earned, 4 runs because of that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. error, 5 hits, 5 Ks, 2 home runs given up. Devers was 2 for 4 with a homer, number 16 of the year, like I said, with a ribby. Tyler O'Neill, number 16 of the year as well with Ty Rafi. Whatever you can do, I can do better. 1 for 3, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. Massa, 1 for 4 with that nice double and RBI. Game 3.
Thank you. Oh,
no problem.
Sorry.
No problem. Game 3 got rained out here because, it decided to pour buckets and merge the Charles River into Fenway Park throughout the whole entire warning track area and within the dugouts and within the stands, and it was deemed unplayable. Alex Cora came out after an hour and a half through the rain delay, was thanking fans for staying, but told everybody and motioned them to go home. The last thing I want to say here about this rain delay, and I'll let you roll here, is Tristan Casas, through the pouring fucking rain, was out in the dugout a couple feet out of the overhang, getting drenched on, pissed on by an elephant, as Jonathan Papelbon would say, signing autographs for fans. For the
That's just a guy who wants to be here.
Delay, man. That's a guy that cares and knows and understands that this is much more than baseball.
Mm-hmm. And I think those are just guys you need to have around. But I'll get to that in a second. Thank you for recapping Game 2 because I text you. I was not able to watch Game 2, and honestly, it's probably a good thing for the outcome that had happened there. But Bello, man, let me ask you this, and I apologize if you had already said this. What happened with Bello? Was it just leaving pitches over? Did he get crushed?
He had one bad inning where he completely self-imploded. That's where 7 runs came, and he didn't record an out for 6 straight batters. We went through it all here while you were taking care of the dogs, going to give them a little quick walk. But yeah, the Brian Bello implosion was just 1 inning where he couldn't get out of it and gathered the mental state to get the out after either whether it was a 2 singles in a row or after he gave up a walk or after a home run getting the next out. He just simply couldn't do it.
That's just what really pisses me off. And I shouldn't say pisses me off, but just rubs me the wrong way about him because he is very, very quickly going way down on my list of
So now that you're back, I I mentioned something that I wish you were here for, because you're gonna go off on a bit. Wouldn't it be smart to move Brian Bello? Because like when you left to go take the dogs, that I was saying like we should go get two, if not one, two
Yes.
starting pitchers.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be smart to go do that and move Brian Bello to the bullpen? Because like if the season ended right fucking now, Brian Bello would be in the bullpen, not Nick Pivetta. No, not Cutter Crawford, not Tanner Houck. It would be Brian Bello as the odd man out here out of these rotation guys who would go in the bullpen. So why not get him used to and comfortable with that right now and turn him into a horse? That, and don't you think that, like we said last pod, the issue is that he's operating 3 pitches at 2 different velo ranges. Doesn't that play much better in the bullpen? That's most bullpen pitchers. They're working with like a 2-pitch or 2 velo spread mix here. And they see a lot of success one time through the order. And then if you strike gold with Bello, and God forbid somebody gets hurt, you bring in this starting pitcher trade acquisition. You know Craig Breslow is going to be smart and bring somebody that can throw 5-6 strong every time, limit damage, and go out there and give up 3 runs max to start, 4 runs max to start. You know what I mean? What if you get that guy, and God forbid somebody gets down, and then Brian Bello finds it? You then have 2 aces in the hole right there that can then go fill the void later on in the year. But that was what I went on a self-tangent about.
So where did you hear the Brian Bello to the bullpen first, out of curiosity?
That was you.
That was me. That was me. And again, I'm an advocate for it now, and I understand that we just paid the man, and so it's not a good look to, you just pay a guy, what was it, 6 years, $50 million, something like that, to go move him into the bullpen. But
look at all of our other starters right now. Didn't we do the same shit with them?
But we did the reverse with all of them, where we took elite relievers and made them mediocre starters, essentially. But Nick Pivetta had great success when he struggled and got told he was going to the bullpen. As much as he bitch moaned and complained about it, eventually he bought in, and he did great, where he figured something out, where he was like, 2 things. A, I got to pitch from the stretch. So he got rid of the windup. And 2, his thing was he needs to come out of the dugout when he gets brought in. And I wonder if Bello can find some sort of success like that can carry over into putting him back into the rotation, because you mentioned he's a 3-pitch pitcher working off 2 velos pretty much. So you put him in the bullpen, and I think he's an elite bullpen arm at that point, because we've seen him touch 99 in it might have been his previous start.
That was the last
Toronto Steros. So we saw him touch 99. Like, we know he's got that in the tank if he really needs it. You let him go out there for an inning or 2 and just let it rip. Like, you might be seeing a very, very dominant bullpen arm. You make some tweaks to maybe his windup, so maybe now he's pitching from the stretch or something like that. You make some tweaks to it. I think you have a very, very successful bullpen arm there. So for me, I'm all for it right now, putting him in the bullpen, because clearly he's not helping out the rotation. He's clearly not. You could even piggyback him with Criswell, like bring Criswell back up, let Criswell, throw his 4 or 5 innings, and you let Bello go for like 2 innings or something like that. And now you're deep into that game pretty much. Because who knows, maybe.
Good idea. Really good idea. You're just using those 2 for 4 apiece or 3 apiece. And then you can use your Liam Hendricks, Slayton, Kenley fucking Jansen, Chris Martin, 4-headed monster. Right there.
But yeah, there's not much more to say about it other than I think he would be electric out of the bullpen. I really do. Just with his sinker velo, and then you pair that with his slider, but then you also, again, you get that changeup working a little bit differently than what it's doing, or add a sweeper, splitter, something like that. And again, I know that's much more difficult to do. But yeah, I think that would be a very, very intriguing piece there. Now, to talk about Wink real quick, again, you already talked about it, but just huge for him to come in and go 6 innings, nonetheless, too. Like, that, were they 6 efficient innings? Like, were they lower pitch counts, or like did he throw like 80 pitches?
7 base runners.
Okay. Did he throw, I don't know if you know this, but did he throw like 80 pitches, or did he hover around like 60 to 65 pitches?
He threw 91 60 strikes.
Oh, damn. All right, so we threw 91 pitches. At this point, I'd go put Wink in the freaking rotation. And
I mean,
my big issue that I've always had with Wink is that he doesn't strike enough guys out. Yet he goes 6 innings and punches out 8 in this one. That's pretty impressive.
go figure, man. He's an anomaly. But you very well likely will see him start in the very near future. Very near future.
I have no doubt. Hopefully it's not for long though, because we talked about it last pod. You just mentioned it. Craig Breslow cooks a little bit, and we bring in a sustainable pitcher that can go, 5, 6, 7 innings every time out.
Once it's July, beginning of July, we'll also be getting Cooper Criswell called back up.
Yep.
After that full 15 days.
Absolutely. The last thing I'll say too, the rain delay. Now to go into Game 3 here, the rain delay. I what was it? Only like the top of the first, and I think Cutter thrown do 2 pitches, and then they pretty much called it after that.
Banged it.
I feel like the rain delay probably was the best thing to happen to them, because you had mentioned it after Game 2 that Bello just killed every vibe after the comeback win and stuff like that, to then implode the way that he did. Game 3 made me more nervous than I should have been for Game 3.
We're so fucking lucky the Toronto Blue Jays did not have a day off today, or else we would have been playing that game more than likely today, and they would have rescheduled it today if we both shared a day off for Monday. Thankfully, we just got 2 days off to reset the bullpen and to kind of be a goldfish and forget quickly here about what Brian Bello and the offense just did out there.
Yep. And it's huge too, because it gives the bullpen 2 days rest, obviously, which is huge. It gives some of those guys like a Tyler O'Neill an extra day's rest, who, as we know, once you rest for 2-3 days, he ends up coming in and hitting 2-3 homers.
We'll be that much healthier for that finale of a division game. We'll likely have Tristan Casas back at that time. Maybe we'll have Liam Hendricks. Sidebar, he just threw his first bullpen. He threw 12, I believe, or 15 fastballs. Felt great. And it's beautiful to see that man throwing a pen again.
Did you see his comment, which I talked about before when he was his last time he was on the ESPN broadcast? He goes, "Yeah, I threw about 15 fastballs, and I'm probably the only one in this pitching staff that actually does that."
Yep, him and Cutter. I swear to God, only ones that have 4 seams.
But that made me chuckle a little bit.
Something that I think that we can tip the cap for the energy during the rain delay, especially on the broadcast with TC and Marrero and Papelbon, was the pregame, the first pitch, and all of that. I don't know if you saw who threw out the first pitch for this game, but the host of Call Her Daddy, Bryan. Alex Cooper. Alex Cooper, the Call Her Daddy chick, threw out the first pitch. And I'm going to give you one guess which one of our stallions took care of her during that experience and caught her first pitch, took care of her, gave her the ball, gave her a nice little hug, talked a little nice game.
Casas would be my guess.
You bet your bottom dollar it was Tristan Casas.
That dude is wheeling and dealing.
He is a smooth criminal. She looks like a little schoolgirl too, running up to him oh my God, I missed this right zone so much. Oh my God, I'm so silly. And he's he picked it backhand and then reframed it. It was comical. The look he gave her was priceless. He was you suck type of shit. But it was a flirty, you suck sort of thing. But outside of that, another thing to talk about with Tristan Casas here, the man has been taking reps this whole entire time he's been hurt. And we're not talking about physical reps. No. This man has been taking mental reps. He's been taking thousands of at-bats. So he feels like he hasn't missed a beat. This man has been visualizing at-bats in bed, simply sitting there, simply standing in the grocery store line. Yes, Mac?
Was it you who sent me the article about that?
Yes.
It was you. Okay. All right. Sorry. Continue. Because I forgot where I saw it.
All good. I have one other Tristan Casas thing. He was asked about, the MRI sort of thing. And do you get freaked out by MRIs? He's like, no, man, it was essentially nah, I own that shit, man. I don't, that thing doesn't control me. I control it. I'm good in confined loud spaces. I'm okay. That thing is hot in there, but don't worry. I cool it off. I'm cold. I'm ice cold. I cool it off in there. Now, a month or two ago, I had to get an MRI for my back, and I feel like this is spot on what Tristan Casas did, and you didn't mention this in the interview. So, Kasi, this is your boy Trotta asking you directly / indirectly what you did here. You strike me as a similar man as me, where you looked at the lady and you asked for some very specific thing to put on in your ears because they always ask you for an MRI. What music would you like to listen to? Would you like to listen to anything? Me, I specifically asked for my MRI. Yeah, you have WEEI, the Red Sox run. I want to listen to the game. No radio, just Pandora or like Spotify. I'm like, no, I'm all set. I'll raw dog it. They're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll be good. What is it, like 20, 30 minutes? They're like, yeah, that's a long time. It's really loud. Are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. It's fine. We're good. I'll keep myself company. I can see this man, Casas, doing the same exact thing and taking that 20, 30 minutes and just meditating in there and being like, I'm better, I'm bigger, I'm better, I'm stronger than this goddamn machine.
I feel like I could see him listening to some like peaceful, like bird sounds or something like that, or like maybe some rain, or like one of those just like
full
type
blown
of channels
meditation.
that's like like meditation type music or whatever.
Beats.
Like clear your mind type shit.
I can see that, or I can see him going like with a mental fortitude, mental strength exercise there and doing it full blown raw dog style with all the noise, despite all the noises and stuff, trying to find his center and meditating through that and staying present through that mentally. I can see him all day doing that and being like, this is like being in fucking Yankee Stadium with millions and millions and millions of people, well, thousands and thousands of people booing me. But he's like, no, I'm better than this.
Now that you say that, I can actually so picture that. Like, you know what? Him looking at this as an opportunity to learn how to block out the noise a little bit, how to block out that background music and just because he's one of those dudes that just does that. Yep. And he is so one of those dudes that would do that. Oh, I need this man back so bad in this lineup.
Kasi, if you could give me an answer on that, it'd be greatly appreciated because I feel like I'm spot on, man. And if I'm not, curious what your route is during that MRI experience because they neglected to ask you that, and your boy's curious.
I could picture him like if he had to choose music, like if he was just like, nope, like you have to choose a station. I could picture him going to some like Spanish beats. I don't know why, but I can picture him just kind of fucking like just sitting there dubbing to it. Like if he had to choose one when it comes to that, but no, I can see that. Tristan Casas, man, though, just I miss him. Not even like as much as I miss his bat in the lineup, I just miss his presence. And the nice thing though is that like I feel like we are seeing way more of Tristan Casas's personality with him on the IL than we ever did when he was playing.
Big time, man. And he gets a lot of shit from a specific individual that you're a big fan of for being the most vocal person that doesn't play or isn't playing. And quite frankly, like we've been wanting this out of our players, like that specific individual. I'm not going to name him because I don't want to put him on blast because I enjoy him too. But he was complaining about Mike Trout refusing to be the voice of baseball too, and like showing his own personality and being himself and having an interest. And then you're going to complain when this guy comes around and is more than welcoming that for his fan base and for MLB. Like, come on, man. Like that's the personality that I guarantee you he wishes Mike Trout would go about things with. Because imagine Mike Trout with that sort of personality, how much more enjoyable and how much more marketable it would be.
I can't even imagine it though, and that's the sad thing is like Mike Trout's almost been like quiet for too long that I just can't picture it. But I feel like the tough thing about this Sox team, not even tough thing, the exciting thing about this Sox team is that Devers is like the cornerstone of this team without a doubt. They're cornerstone third baseman and like their linchpin, if you will, to this lineup.
They're golden goose.
But there are still so many faces on this team. Like how we talk about the face of baseball. Like I genuinely can't think of just one face of the Boston Red Sox. Like there's Tristan Casas, you know what I mean, whose bubbly personality is coming out. We have Jarren Duran, who's the catalyst
everybody
of this lineup. You have Little Rafi, who, by the way, this reminds me, I forgot to mention this in game one.
What do you got?
And I'm going to talk about it now. Rewinding it back here. So they get a runner on. It might have been when it was when Kenley came on, the one hit that he allowed, right? They pinch run for him. And they bring in this guy, don't have any idea what his name is, right? What the fuck are you taking a picture of?
Something that I want to mention after you're done.
Okay. They bring in this guy, and you're gonna love this. He had 2 oven mitts on, but they were 2 different colors. He had like pink and like blue one on or something like that. When he was running, he looked ridiculous with 2 oven mitts on. And what even makes him look more ridiculous, right, was he was a speed guy. They bring him in after like the second, third pitch. He gets thrown out, and little Raffy, the throw was right on the money behind him. In Raffy tags him out, and Raffy just jumps up like, "Yeah, let's go!" And then this guy sits there and he's like, "You got to go. You got to review this." And they go to look at it, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" He was out by a freaking
muffin
mile.
his ears because they're all straight.
Yeah,
it looks like he's going, "Oh no, silly me!" But how the fuck do you put that shit on after one's on? How do you put the other one on properly, dude? Is it like, "Hey, coach, can you help me out?"
I
No,
was gonna say,
take that shit off. But at the same time, you use SoxHub 10 at checkout for 44 Pro custom gloves. They have custom oven mitts that you can go purchase, not just for one hand, but for 2. But just make sure you don't ask your coach to put them on, and you don't get thrown out if you're wearing 2, because you look like a real jackass.
I was gonna say, can you just picture him sitting there on first base? He gets the first one, and he's like, "Coach," and he's just sitting there like a prima donna with his hand out, and like the coach is sitting there putting it on. Like, it's either that or he went
backhand them and accept being fired.
I'm now thinking about this. He was a pinch runner. He went in with the 2 oven mitts on. Definitely had like one of the other guys.
Hey, Miguel, can you put this on for me? It'd look really cool.
But
sure, Poppy,
he looked so stupid. But my favorite thing was that they got him out, and little Raffy's energy after that. He comes up and he is, he's screaming, and I was like, it was in that moment that like I already knew we were winning the game, but like I knew we were winning the game at that point. But to circle it all back here, faces of the franchise, Casas, Duran, you got little Raffy, who makes miraculous plays in game 1. He made a ridiculous play in the first inning on that ground ball to his glove side where he had to dive back for it, get up, throw the guy out. You got
Snyder, you're like Army general sort of type of leader by example.
Yep, leader by example, probably the veteran in the clubhouse outside of like a Kenley, obviously, but like that defensive leader out there, like Tyler O'Neill with his fan engagement, his talk about how much he loves the city, wants to be here. Like, there's just so many faces on this team.
And honest manager in the league when it comes to media and news outlets as well, with that personality and that sort of genuineness in a human being. So many different marketable people and leaders on this team. Just a perfect opportunity for some documentary series to happen. I just can't wait for that thing, dude. Oh my God.
That actually makes me think. Do you think any of this is like a show for the documentary? And by show, I mean, or like, because like the only reason I say no to that and to you is like they have cameras on them at all the times. So like they're probably used to it. But like I do wonder how much of like, if any of it is like for the Netflix documentary, like type shit. Probably
like the personalities. I think it's because of it, and I think they're that much more comfortable compared to other teams, because this is the first time this has happened in baseball. This is like whatever the fuck it's called for the NFL one that's on HBO, Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah, Hard Knocks.
Yeah, so like this is like the baseball of Hard Knocks. So it's like the first time that every day in and out of the like in the dugout and on the field, you have cameras and microphones on you or next to your face the whole time. So they are completely comfortable with this stuff, and it's like their day-to-day life. So they're being their true selves when a camera's on them versus when it's not. When you go to any other team in the MLB, that's just not happening around them since the offseason, spring training time. They haven't had those reps with it. So they tighten up, and they're not as comfortable and as prepared to talk to media, to talk in front of a camera, to talk with a microphone down their throat. Like all of these Red Sox guys have been doing this the whole entire year. And it's such a unique thing. It's making them that much more confident, that much more closer of a group. Dude, I just can't wait to watch it, man. It's not even funny, especially if this year continues the way we think it's gonna.
I agree. Also, temperature update. What is it up there right now?
It is 82.9 degrees. I will flash it for you guys. That is bang. Yup. Right in 4K as well. Updated camera for you all, so it's beautiful.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to you, Trotta.
And shout out to
New mic, new camera, new everything. Like the voice
shout out
sucks
to
ever going.
you, sir. Shout out to you, sir, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have a new mic. So we gotta give you a nice little clap. Very good job. Very good job. Very good
Stop
job.
it. You don't have to
muted.
do that.
I clicked it muted. It played, but it works beautifully. I'm not hitting myself. It's not unplugging in the middle of our recording. I have a nice little light on like the record too. That's why I'm like so much more clear. You can see every whisker on me. Oh, what a time to be alive. I feel like I have now been able to match your production ability here.
The SoxHub boys are going legit is really what it comes to. I will say this, like the closer you get to the mic, it doesn't sound like you're molesting your mic.
It's not it's Bull's Light whiskey.
Yeah, even when you did that, it didn't sound that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Shouldn't have told me that. We can really test this thing's limits.
I guess we'll probably have to find out on our next series. However, before we get let
the boys sweep San Diego.
Don't do it. But before we get into that, real quick, did you watch the unobstructed views thing with Jared on the second game? Was it the second game that it played, or is that starting next week?
That was supposed to be Tuesday night. That was Tuesday night. I did not watch that.
Okay, that's right, because you had to listen to the game on the way home. So unobstructed views, for those of you that aren't aware, Jared Carrabis is pretty much doing an alternate broadcast, and he talked about this in game one, but he's going to have on different guests each week, and they're going to broadcast the game exactly what Obi and Uke do, just a little bit different. And he had talked about how like this is the first time we're seeing this in baseball, so it's a very exciting thing. And,
in a sense, unfiltered.
Yeah, unfiltered. And so his first guest was Papelbon. I would actually love to go back and watch this, but I think you had mentioned that like this is going to change the game pretty much, and I know Carrabis had mentioned that as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm really looking forward to actually watching this to see what it's actually all about.
So on the rain delay day, I already saw it changed. And Jared and Pap kind of changed the game together, just doing it one time, despite it being a miserable game. They apparently crushed it, because during that whole entire rain delay, I felt like I was watching that with TC, Devin Marrero, and then quickly Jonathan Papelbon sprinting in soaking wet from dinner. It was just completely unfiltered, to the point that Jonathan Papelbon comes in hot, Mike, and says, "Sorry, man, it looks like I just got pissed on by an elephant. I just came home from dinner." And TC was just cracking jokes left and right. Devin Marrero and Papelbon were talking about like rolling dice during rain delays and playing poker and gambling cards and stuff in the clubhouse and on road trips. Like I was just like, what the hell am I listening to? Is this even allowed to be talked about on air live? But like I was like, I don't even care. Like this is awesome. This is the shit that I want to watch. Like I would have turned that thing off 15 minutes earlier when the game was delayed if I knew it was going to be anything normal from the past in rain delays. But this one, man, it was just so much more, hate to use the word that they're using, but unhinged. It was a very unhinged normal Nesson with Tom, Karen, and those other normal faces that we see.
How do you watch this? Is this like just another option that you can click and get to?
Nesson Plus.
Nesson Plus, okay. And then I have Nesson 360, so I am assuming I have access to it.
You should have the alternate streaming option, yes. I would be not confident to say that MLB TV would give you this alternate option too if you're out of market, but I don't quote me on that. I would assume they would, because it's with Nesson, and part of the video broadcast out of the two, they normally give you two options. They might give you three there, who knows, but I would assume you could watch that, or like watch the rerun with that broadcast attached to it.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to watch that a little bit and see what it's actually all about and how unhinged it actually is, especially with guys like Papelbon going on there. But yeah, just quickly wanted to mention that and talk about that, because it does kind of seem like it will change the game a little bit.
Big time.
Change the
I agree with you.
landscape of broadcasting. But without further ado, that brings us to our series look ahead.
Let's frickin' do it, Red Sox fans. We have the San Diego Padres, the San Diego Daddies coming in to town. Yes, Padres in Espanol is papi, dad. So, they're the San Diego Fathers. Makes sense since their mascot is a friar. But anyways, we got game one here. It will be, Friday, June 28th. Shout out to my father. Happy birthday, Dad. Randy Velasquez versus Nick
Happy
Pivetta.
birthday, Neil.
Let's fucking go, Dr. Trot. You're the frickin' man, dude. You're my hero. Game two, we're going to have Michael King, ex-Yankee, versus Tanner Houck. Tour on that dang. Game three, it's Michael Waldron, right? What is it?
Matt Waldron.
My fault. Nice name, dude. Matt Waldron versus Josh Winkowski. The Winkmeister Flex gets the starting fucking nod. I love it. Rewinding to game one. We have Nick Pivetta again versus Randy Vasquez. Randy Vasquez on the year is 2-4 with a 5.10 ERA. Holy Brian Bello, 1.68 whip, 47 and 2/3 innings pitched, 31 Ks, 12 walks. In June, he's 2-1, 4.5 ERA, 1.62 whip, 26 innings, 6 home runs in those innings. Nick Pivetta, 2024's 500 record, 4-4, 4.06 ERA, 1.16 whip, 57 and 2/3 innings pitched, 64 Ks to 15 walks. Pivetta in June, eerily similar to his yearly numbers. He's 2-0, 4.03 ERA in June, 1.34 whip, 22 1/3 innings pitched, 22 Ks to 8 walks, 4 home runs. Going into game two, pitching matchup review. Tanner Houck on the year is now 7-5 with a 2.18 ERA, still a sub-1 whip at a 0.97, brought that down from last start. 103 1/3 innings pitched. He got past that milestone of 100 innings pitched and 100 Ks. He's now at 101 Ks, and he has 18 walks on the year. In June, he's 2-0. ERA is a little slated up, 3.2 ERA, still a sub-1 whip at a 0.99, 25 1/3, 26 Ks to 3 walks, 1 dingo given up. Michael King on the year is 500, 5-5 record, just under a 4 ERA to 3.75. He's got a 1.29 whip in 93 2/3, 109 Ks. Jesus Christ, dude. 38 walks. In June, he's 500, 1-1, just under a 3 ERA, 2.93, 1.34 whip, 27 2/3, 35 Ks, 9 walks, 0 home runs. The finale, Matthew, nice name, buddy, Waldron versus the Winkmeister. Matthew Waldron throws a unicorn pitch, a knuckleball. It's going to be really cool to see one thrown in Fenway Park, especially with the Tim Wakefield patch being worn, the old number 49 by the Boston Red Sox. It'll be cool to see, and I think bring back some cool memories for Red Sox fans.
I can already tell you right now that post-game, talking to Matt Waldron, he's going to sit there and just say how special it was to be on a mound that Tim Wakefield threw on and throw a knuckleball. I can already picture something like that.
And dude, he's having a Tim Wakefield year, man. He's doing well. He's 5-6 with a 3.43 ERA, a 1.16 whip, throwing a knuck, 89 1/3 innings pitched. So he's not just a call up. 84 Ks, 27 walks.
Now, keep in mind too, doesn't he throw 94 too?
Yeah, he throws 92, 94. The show gasses him up with that 96. It's not really that, but he's low mid nines too, with a little bit of run on that. Throws a cut, throws a breaking ball too. So you can't just sit knuck all the time. It's a little different than Tim Wakefield.
I was going to say, this is a guy who is literally a creative player in the show where
seriously,
you have
man.
a dude who's throwing 90s and then just hits you with a 60, 70 mile an hour knuckleball that's dancing all over the place and then hits you with an 88 mile an hour slider.
Just to freeze you up.
Yeah, it's literally a created player in the show.
It's scary. and his June has been scary. He's 2-1, 1.95 ERA, a sub-1 WHIP at a .8. Oh man, 32 and a third innings pitched, 24 Ks, 8 walks, and only 1 home run in the month throwing knucks. This man scares me. But you know what? It's time for our little review. I'm going to let you go first, man. You can take it away for your little prediction of this series. What do you got?
I'm kind of more nervous for this series than I think I should be, or than I was at the beginning of this month when we were doing our month look ahead.
Come on, what are you nervous about? Come on.
Hear me out. Okay, I get weird intuitive feelings. Some call me psychic. You know what I mean? I have this ability to see into the world a little bit, but
right.
Oh, sorry, my what's it called? AirPods died. Anywho, I get this weird feeling sometimes. I'm just weirdly nervous about this series, and part of it is because the last game we played was the Bello start, and I think the vibe should be washed off by then. No pun intended with the rain delay there, but Nick Pivetta, I expect us to win that game. I think Pivetta is going to have a strong start. I think Pivetta is going to give us 6-7 innings pitched with about 8 punchies. I can see that. 5 hits allowed, 2 earned runs or less. I can see that type of start. And it's going to be the type of start that we need, especially against a bum like Randy Vasquez. So we need that win big time to then bring that momentum into game 2, all right, where we have Michael King versus Tanner. Okay. We have Tanner Hachtua on the mound going, and you got to feel good about that. Michael King makes me slightly nervous to some extent just because he does have the ability to miss bats. He was a huge sleeper pick going into this year to be a really fine pitcher for the San Diego Padres, and he's pitched pretty well throughout the year. I mean, a 3.75 ERA, as you noted, but the 109 Ks, 93 innings pitch, that's impressive to me right there. But he hasn't pitched that great against the Red Sox, so I'm curious to see how that looks, because either he could match Houck pitch per pitch, or I could picture exactly what happened in the last Blue Jays start, where Houck left with the lead, and then the lead's immediately taken away. I could see something of that nature with this. Game 3 is the one that I'm the most worried about, and maybe it's just because I'm thinking Matt Waldron is nastier than he actually is, but his knuckleball, and again, we already talked about mixing with a low 90s fastball. I don't know. Something tells me some funky stuff could happen out on that mound. Like the last person to throw a knuckleball on that mound.
Kirby,
Wasn't
right?
What's
No,
that?
It wasn't George Kirby. Never mind. Probably R.A. Dickey.
It was either R.A. Dickey or a Red Sox pitcher that I don't want to name his name because he's a bad person. Stephen Wright or whatever. Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a scumbag. Anyways, Matt Waldron. So I don't know. You look at his numbers, what he's done in June so far, what he's done on the year. Wink, who just came off of his best outing of the year. That game makes me a little nervous. So, long story short, I do think the Sox take 2 out of 3. If I had to pick, they're going to take the first 2 games and then lose the finale. Because I think they flipped the script a little bit where they're not losing the first game of the series anymore and then going to win the next 2. I think they flipped that script a little bit and are going to win the first 2 and lose the last one.
Wow. That's quite the prediction. I admire it. I respect it. I need you to remember one thing here real quick. It's June. And we've been on a tear in June. And the finale of this game is the last day of June.
Sunday.
And it's on a Sunday. Okay? I agree with you in everything you said except for one thing, and it's that they're going to lose the finale. All right? The Michael King thing does not make me nervous at all. I don't know why you're being such a little bitch about that, Mac. He has a fucking over a 5 ERA against the Sox in his career. I don't give a shit that it's only in 2 starts. He's been giving up crooked numbers in 1 1 third innings pitched out of the bullpen. He has a fucking 1-3 whip on the year, and in June, the Red Sox feast on guys that give up fucking free bases like this guy does, and then guys that are giving up a lot of traffic and a lot of singles. We eat that shit up and turn singles and walks into fucking extra base hits. All right. And that's when we fucking really harvest your soul. Okay. I'm just saying, I think it's going to be a fucking bloodbath, and it's going to be Michael King's nightmare all over again, like 95% of his outings against the Red Sox in his past. All right. So let's get out of that little bitchness here and just come back to earth about Michael King, because the Red Sox feast on him. All right. Tough love, I know, but yeah, I think you needed that after you saying how nervous you were about Michael King.
Listen. He's a good pitcher. What do you want from me? Okay, as long as we keep winning series, a 2 out of 3 pick is not that bad. All right, let's Michael King, good pitcher. He's good at pitch. He throw hard, ball move. I don't know. It's just I have one of those feelings. He could have one of those like best starts of the year type thing against us.
Oh, fuck off. I hope not.
I hope not either. Listen, I don't want to make it sound like I'm down on this team or anything, because I am.
I'm kidding.
Okay,
it's just Michael King, dude, you have been so confident against multiple other better pitchers throughout the year. And then you're nervous about Michael King. I'd give Waldron so much more of a like valid worry, because that's something you never see is a knuckleball, and you can't really practice against that. That's what my concern is, but I think Wink Dog gets it done, and it's Sunday Sox, dude. We ain't fucking losing on Sundays. I'm sorry, but we're not going to do it. So, in conclusion, the goddamn Red Sox are going to be sweeping the goddamn San Diego Padres to end the month of June. You heard it here. It's going to be a sweep to end June. The Red Sox are going to finish this month in the devil's asshole and jump into the second wild card spot in 5th place. Yep, you heard it right.
Wow.
And just to really wet your whistle, what I was taking a picture of earlier, Mac, was the following. It was MLB Big Inning split into the 3-screen, the tri-screen. In the top left was Toronto Blue Jays beating the Yankees in Toronto in the 8th inning, 9-2. That's very helpful for us. Next, in the bottom right was the 5th inning, where the Guardians were beating the Royals 1-0 in Kansas City. Very helpful for us there. And then in the top right screen was future Boston Red Sox left-handed starting pitcher Andrew Abbott, currently on his 90th pitch in the 8th inning in a 10-2 lead against the St. Louis Cardinals.
It's a bold pick right there. I already told you Andrew Abbott ain't coming here, unfortunately.
You told me the same shit about Pete Alonso, and what name have we seen in all of the trade rumors up to date targeting and penciling Pete Alonso into what potential organization? What potential lineup, Mac?
I wouldn't say they were trade rumors. They were more trade speculations. But he has been linked to the Boston Red Sox. Yes, he has.
Outside of the Red Sox, he's been linked to the Cubs a little bit too. But those two, man, those are my golden gooses, my golden geese. Those are the two I'm banking on. Those are the trouty sneaky picks here during the trade deadline. We'll get into that more. You know, we've discussed, blogs and stuff like that and doing some writing pieces. Your boy's cooking up one of those about the trade deadline that's going to be dropping in July for us. But if you want more info on that and a deeper dive onto why I think they're going to be a good fit, what other guys outside of these two are going to be good potential fits, and Craig should be getting this placed on his desk, to be quite honest with you. But if you're interested in all that stuff and you like to nerd out and read into that and put on the tinfoil hat, join me. Read that little piece, because it'll be a good one, man.
I'd say join us too for when we have our draft day podcast, when we have our trade deadline podcast, and we get to actually these things come to life. I heard this previously, and shout out to Section 10 podcast. They did say it, but I don't understand why teams are so afraid to pull the trigger so much earlier before the trade deadline. Like I think it was Coley Mick who said we could use the help now.
Why wait a month?
Yeah, why wait to the deadline? Like, I understand maybe you're waiting for guys to progress, maybe get better to build up their trade value or vice versa, whatever it may be. But, like, why wait? Let's just go get Garrett Crochet right now. Let's just go get a Lubob right now.
Yep, I'm with it, man. I'm all with it. Why not go full throttle early? Why
Yeah.
not change the way the system has always gone, waiting till the very last minute in the trade deadline, wee hours of the day, wee hours leading into the deadline? Why do that? Instead, do like the Atlanta Braves approach, but instead of contracts, do that with trade acquisition pieces long before anybody else is trying to do it. That's how you get your first pick. That's how you go get your golden goose. Oh, and you're going to have them for probably 20, 30 games more.
1,000%. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And especially too when you're in the hunt, not even in the hunt, we have a playoff spot where we currently stand. How do you not want to just reinforce this team? And especially too, like, that makes interesting for the documentary. I know they're not doing anything for the documentary, like, oh, we gotta make this trade for the documentary, you know what I mean? But it's one of those things, like, why not? Why not just we're already defying the laws of physics here with what we're doing with this team. Why not continue to beat those odds? Let's go. Let's win this World Series so Matt can make an additional $9,000 here.
Yep, please. That'd be very appreciated.
It would be. It would be hugely.
Speaking of money being made, Mac, you had yourself a fucking Toronto Blue Jays series to remember. Oh my God, what a fucking tear you were on. It is time to hit that sound button right there for you know what the next segment is.
Tipsy?
She played. Whichever one you want, she'll play. But God damn it, it plays on the back end of it.
What am I playing?
Anything you want.
Anything I want right now.
What was our SoxHub slippery picks thing last time? What did we do?
What did we do?
I don't fucking know. It's past it now. I don't know. SoxHub slippery picks. Here you go. The review. It's a beautiful one to remember. Sure.
I had to do it. Sure.
That fucking bullshit ass goddamn sound effect. The series for you was absolutely insane for game 1 and 2. I'm going to go through mine first because whatever, they're sad. Game 1, Jarren Duran 2+ total bases, cash me. Game 2, no, I bet it on both. Did not happen. Sox money line for both. I had both games. There was 1 for 2. Jarren Duran stolen base for game 1 and 2 did not happen. Hamilton as well did not happen. So I was a crisp 2 for 8. Oof. But if you tailed Mac, you probably made $9,000+. Mac had Sox winning game 1 money line cashed. Did not have him for game 2. So in that effect, he would have taken the Blue Jays. That cashed. Rafael Devers home run in game 1. That cashed. Rafael Devers home run in game 2. That cashed. Tanner Houck over on strikeouts in game 1. That cashed. He had 7. It was 5.5. Game 1. No runs in the first inning. A good old classic Nerfy. Bang. That cashed. Thank God for the sports books that game 3 got rained out because it would have ended up going over on runs because Mac picked that. Tyler O'Neill would have had a home run in game 3, and the Red Sox would have won the series, getting further ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays. And Mac would have gone a unanimous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4, 9 in a series. Officially, though, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 5, with a lot of those being plus money picks.
It's tough to throw a perfect game in the betting industry. You know what I mean? Go perfect 9 for 9. Again, my picks, they're just intuitive feels. And you just watch the games, you get the storylines, and you can start to put together the pieces a little bit here. Now, are we going to be right all the times? No. Some days you're Trotty, you go 2 for 8. Other days you're Mac, and you go 5 for 5, 9 for 9, whatever the hell it was. And honestly, I was having a great great weekend. Hopefully we can continue that rolling in. Trotty, what do you got for me for some SoxHub slippery picks?
Well, you already know we're hammering the Sox money line for all series long. Coming fresh off the paternity list for game one is Connor fucking Wong. And he's going to use that dad strength to his full advantage and hit a home run in game one as well. Yep, for sure. Jaron Duran is also going to make one hell of a case yet again and pick up where he left off after the 2 days off and get 2 more total bases or more in a baseball game, while he's also going to steal 1 or more base in game 1. You can book it right now. Game 2, I am going to go over on Tanner Houck out total. I'm also going over on Tanner Houck's strikeout total, whatever both numbers are for game 2. I feel like that is a lock. I also feel like for game 1, we can do whatever Nick Pavetta's is at. So I will put that over into my game 1 as well. Game 3, the finale against Matthew Waldron. I'm going to put 2 picks up. Okay. Going to Tyler O'Neill home run. And I'm going to Rafi, big fly. He's hitting a home run off of Waldron's knuckleball as well. To conclude, my picks are SoxHub moneyline, Red Sox moneyline, all series. Connor Wong, big fly game 1. Duran 2+ total bases game 1. Duran 1+ total base game 1. Pavetta K total over in game 1. Tanner Houck out total and strikeout total both over in game 2, and then in game 3 both Tyler O'Neill and Rafael Devers hitting a home run.
So,
but you're not here for mine. Mac, take it away.
Actually, we have some similar things. However, I'm going to be kind of outlandish here with these picks. I have 4 picks to make here, okay? And they're ballsy picks. It's almost one of those things where I want to see how right I can be, like I'm challenging myself here. Now, these are intuitive picks. I do have reasonings behind them. But without further ado, Mac Daddy's picks. In no particular order whatsoever.
Straight bullet.
Connor Wong is going to hit a home run in game 3. I say game 3 because there's something about just a knuckleballer that if it finds a barrel, it can go. If not, I just picture a home run off the knuck going over that left field monster. Yeah, the dad power. He just had a kid. We talked about it early on in the podcast. You had mentioned it, but dad strength coming in full swing. Ideally, I'd like it to be in game 1, but I have some other picks for that. But Connor Wong, home run, game 3.
I like it.
2, Rafael Devers, home run. He is batting .625 against Michael King. He's 5 for 8 with 2 home runs and 4 RBIs. I think the home run is coming. Okay, the good times are rolling. He's already hit 2 in the Toronto series. I told you that streak, that tear's coming for, like that 7-game stretch, 10-game stretch. He's going to hit another one here in game 2. I always have to do this for some reason, but again, it's an intuitive feeling. I have a Manny Machado game 1 home run off Nick Pavetta. I know nobody wants to hear it. You want to hear us, just go for the Sox all the time, but Pavetta has been known to be homer prone. Machado feast against the Red Sox. I know he only has 8 homers on the year, but he is still a very fearful bat. So if he's in that lineup in game 1, I'm not saying it's a lock, but I'm like a Casas and I can just visualize the home run happening. Hopefully it's a solo home run, maybe early on, nothing serious.
It's normally what Pavetta's given up.
My last pick here is going to be a game 1 home run by Tyler O'Neill. Now, the reasoning behind that is because usually after he has a day or 2 off, so we had the rain delay, then we had the off day, he's well rested, he's going to go in there and hit a home run within his first 3 at-bats. I have zero doubt in my mind on those. So there's your 4 home run picks that, maybe they'll happen, maybe they won't. It's what Matt's crystal ball is working up here with what he's got. I mean, if you want to get crazy too,
If you hit it on the nail.
I did say that Pivetta is going to give us 6 to 7 strong innings with 8 punches, so I would feel comfortable taking an over on a Nick Pivetta strikeout as well. I think we're going to get a gem from him because we haven't had a gem from him in a little bit.
I like your takes.
But that's what I got for you. That is this week's episode of SoxHub Slippery Picks.
Oh my god.
That hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
All day long. You getting me? You getting me? Oh, God bless America. What a time we live in where that goes viral. Anyways, what are your closing thoughts for this lovely night, Mac? What do you got for the boys? What do you got for the listeners?
I love how we've kind of flipped the roles here. You've kind of hosted this episode, and I just kind of painted some pictures for you here.
Yeah, once you went and walked for the dog, and I went on my little 10-minute. That 10-minute monologue, dude. The fucking hat went out the window. You gotta listen to that shit. I went on a fucking tangent and a half.
I can't wait. I almost brought my AirPods with me because I wanted to listen, but I was like, if I get too far away from the house, they disconnect and it messes everything up. And so I didn't want to go through that again. But what I was absolutely chuckling about, right, is I was coming back, I was like, Trout, I'm back. And I just see you going, and I'm like, oh shit! He's been talking this entire time. I love it.
I knew the assignment. I understood it, baby.
Yeah, you did, baby. Yeah, you did. So
my whole dog walk is miraculous.
We're not going to take too many of those, but when I do, you just know Trout is going to go off and spit some fire.
Straight heat.
So, closing thoughts. I have 3 of them. 2 of them tie into the same thing. The New York Yankees, okay? Luis Gil has been, what's the word I'm looking for? A fraud. He's been ineffective, but he's been shown as a fraud. Okay, this guy was the front runner for the Rookie of the Year. He was in the Cy Young conversation, and he's just absolutely blown up his last couple of starts. And even the broadcast people and baseball people everywhere have been talking about how he's looked nervous on the mound. He's looked unsettled on the mound, and that's
Since
not
he walked into
really
Fenway Park.
Yeah, that's not what you really want to hear. And to your point, you just said it. It all started in Fenway. It really did.
Carlos Rodon crying in the dugout. You got Gleyber Torres showing the worst body language you've ever seen on a grown-ass man playing a professional sport.
Outside of Brian Bello.
Yes, outside of Brian Bello. But we do have a very good leg to stand on when talking about this stuff since we see it every 5th day with Brian. You got Aaron Judge bitching and moaning about people throwing up and in on him. What do you expect, bro? That's the one spot that people can get you out. And every now and then when you're locating there, someone's going to miss on your hands, bro. Shit's going to happen. That's the one way to get you out, under your hands. So stop bitching and learn how to hit it if you don't want people to locate it there.
And you're the best hitter in the league.
Constant bullshit and whining and complaining. Starts with your manager.
Touche. So we have Luis Gil's blow up. I think his last start he allowed 7 earned runs or 8 earned runs, something like that. Something in that range. So he's blowing up a little bit. Garrett Cole has made his return and is positively stunk. Now, granted, he is Garrett Cole. I don't expect this to be the downfall of his career was this injury, nothing like that. And he should probably be better moving forward. But if you watched or got some stats on his last start, his velo was down to 93, 94. I think his first inning was 97, 98, and then it just dropped off the face of the planet.
Low nines.
There was some concern, obviously, around that. However, Garrett Cole did say that he was trying different things, trying to work, a little bit deeper into the game, take some off it. I don't know how much I buy that, as crazy as that sounds, but just something to keep an eye on. A guy who had, was it UCL damage in his,
I believe so, yeah.
I think he did the same thing that Kyle Bradish did. Kyle Bradish, who had a partially torn ligament, tried to rehab it as opposed to get the surgery on it. And then he came back through 50 effective innings for the Orioles, then tore completely and had to have Tommy John surgery. So
Cole had nerve inflammation.
Okay,
So
but
kind of what I've been dealing with my back.
isn't inflammation still the same thing though as like? Oh no, that's a strain. Mine.
It's like a strain, sprain sort of thing.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't know
not
that
it's
was actually.
not ligament or structural damage in the elbow. It's just inflammation that is pinching on a nerve.
But like, I feel like that's still not good. Like, you can rehab that, and if you say you go and throw max effort now, like I feel like you could very easily re-aggravate that inflammation. So, long story short, his velo's down. You know, everybody thought the return of Cole, all this stuff. Now, this could flip the script, obviously, and he could figure it out and be fine. But yeah, the Yankees are just imploding right now. And it's very fun to see as the Red Sox have caught heat at the right time with all other sports over. The only focus in Boston and New England right now is the Boston Red Sox.
What a time, man. All we asked for was baseball in
My,
the summer.
my last closing thought here, very quickly, is back in game one of the Toronto series, Pap, TC, and Devin Moreo did the pregame, right?
Yeah.
And I watched it, and they're all wearing the same shirt. Like, it's all a lighter blue type shirt.
You texted me about this.
After that, right, it's showing Pap, like Carabas is in the stands and it's showing Pap and he's like touching himself in the booth. He's having fun with it. But you go and you watch the post game and Pap now has a different, I could be crazy about this. Like, it just seemed like it was a darker blue that was not as bright as Moreo's or TC's. And I swear, Pap seems like the type of guy, because of just how much of a loose cannon he is, that like would sit there and be like, I ain't looking like a friggin' Kansas City dilly dally you.
During the game, in between that pre and post, he walked down the street in the city and went into a clothing store, a boutique, bought a shirt, and then ran right back like he did for the rain delay broadcast where he ran back from dinner.
I have zero doubt in my mind that's exactly what he did, because it looked much darker than
I noticed that. You texted me about it too for the post game.
Yeah, so it looked very different. I just thought that was funny, and it's not because it was raining out or anything like that. I just think he looked around and was like, I'm not looking like you two fuckers. Like, I'm getting something different. But those are my closing thoughts here. I'm excited for the San Diego series. I'm excited for the end of the month to see how our predictions panned out. I'm excited for July. There's some exciting times coming ahead for the SoxHub boys, but for the Boston Red Sox and baseball in general, I think.
Amen to that, man. I have two closing statements. One of them is we get to welcome back two of the very familiar faces in Red Sox history recently. Xander Bogaerts, yes, is one of them, being welcomed back to Fenway here with the Padres in town. But Don Orsillo as well is back and is going to be in the booth, not for the Red Sox, though, for the Padres, for this weekend. And man, it brought an interesting question into my brain. And now, present day, knowing the broadcast booth here at Nesson and knowing how the current landscape is now currently and for the future for the Boston Red Sox and how the salaries are and how the finances are for the team, who would you rather have back? Don Orsillo in the booth or Xander Bogaerts at shortstop or second base, Mac?
I feel like this is a much easier question than you think it is, and I'm going to tell you why. Without a doubt, hands down, Don Orsillo. Donnie Ball Games. I think that is the right answer. Donnie's going to be around a lot longer than Xander will. Well, maybe that's not true. Xander's on a 12-year contract, so he'll be like 70 by the time his contract runs out, so maybe not. But Don would be around for a lifetime. Okay, he would be here until he died, broadcasting games for the Boston Red Sox. Okay, A. B. Not that I don't think Xander wouldn't vibe with this team, but we've moved on from Xander. We have, and again, it's been talked about, but like we would have been ludicrous to match the deal that the Padres gave Xander. I think we gave him probably a fair thing. The Padres just wanted him that much more, and good, go have him at that rate. Like, good for you. Embrace San Diego, all that good stuff. My point to this is, I love where we're at right now as a team and with this clubhouse, where there's not just one leader, there's multiple leaders on this team where I think if Xander was here, it would be Xander's team. And not that I don't think that wouldn't vibe or mesh, and I miss Xander, but I just, for where the team chemistry is now, where it's headed, who we have coming up, I think Don Orsillo would be way more important to have back, because then maybe you get rid of the rotating broadcast. You either have OB and Don, you have a Don and a Lou, you have something on that line.
That's what I'm going for.
And that's where I think that's the biggest. Now, don't get me wrong. I would hate to have to choose between OB and Don. I know people have their takes about OB. Like I saw on Twitter, people thought that his Romy Gonzalez game tying single in the bottom of the 8th inning was just very, this is all we get. Like, this is such a horseshit call for a game tying single after coming back down 4 runs. But I do love Obi, but if you had to put a gun to my head, I would take Don any day of the week. Actually, you don't even need to put a gun to my head. I would take Don back any day of the week. You put Loomer in there with him, and I just think that is an electric broadcast. So a long answer, short, but very long. I'm taking Donnie Ball games over Xander any day of the week.
Yeah, me too.
Do you feel the same way about it though? That like maybe Xander doesn't fit. Like why are you taking him?
I'll take what David Hamilton can provide for the next year to 4 years over what Xander Bogaerts is going to do. I'll also take the brand of baseball that we're playing. Xander Bogaerts doesn't really do either of those things. He doesn't hit for power or for slug consistently. He doesn't streaks. It doesn't consistently. Nor does he steal the bases or run the bases like he once did. It just isn't. It's not a good fit anymore. Don, though, is an electric fit. Always has been. Always will be with the Fenway faithful and Red Sox Nation. And not only that, but man, him in the booth with the impromptu Jared Carabas, the impromptu Kevin Millar, the impromptu Jonathan Papelbon, the consistent OB, the consistent Middlebrooks, and the consistent Lou Merlone. Man, that'd be priceless. I would love that content, and I think that he would strengthen Will Middlebrooks up a ton because he watched Will play.
Valid point.
And saw it firsthand and can talk about those similar experiences and can bring up things that OB simply can't because he wasn't there day to day to experience it. That's just my 2 cents on it. With how much of an impact and better of a job it would do on the broadcast for Don to be there, but it's not going to happen. It was just a nice little hypothetical thing. But yeah, we're so far past the Xander Bogaerts thing. I think he's going to be received very well in Fenway. I think he's going to get a 10 times better thing than Chris Sale got, mainly because he's not dominating and doing extremely well. I think it's going to be not a pity clap and ovation, but it's going to be we're over it. We're very grateful and appreciative of all that he did because that was the peak of his career and where he was born and raised as a baseball player, a professional baseball player, that is. And I think he's going to get a really warm embrace and hey, thank you so much for the good times, man. Because we got him out at the perfect time, and there's no bad blood, there's no anger.
They were good times. I mean,
so I think he's going to be received beautifully.
I couldn't agree more. He was also here longer than Chris Sale was. Not that should matter because what Chris Sale did was obviously monumental for the Red Sox. And I feel it's almost the same type of thing that Steven Strasburg did for the Nationals, where he just put it all out on the line and was never able to pitch again after that, but he won them a World Series. I feel like Sale is comparable to that to some extent, but Xander did it for a longer time with the Red Sox. But the way I see Xander is almost it's like your first love type thing, in high school, right? Where you romanticize it a lot, you think about it, and then somehow either it's a mutual breakup, she breaks up with you, you break up with her type thing. But it's one of those things where you'll always go back and think about that first love, but you would never go back to that first love, if that makes sense.
Yes, you cherish the times and the moments you had. You learned, you enjoyed the times, you learned from the bad, but yeah, you're never going back there again. Very well depicted example there. Believe it or not.
When you were talking about that, that's all I thought of. I was like, it's kind of like a first love.
Yep, very well depicted.
I do have one last closing thought here. I apologize because I forgot to mention this. I texted you about it earlier today. Your boy Bailey Horn is getting brought up because after Isaiah Campbell absolutely pissed down his leg, they sent him down and brought up Bailey Horn. And
And it's stud that we got DFA'd off of the White Sox. We talked about in like episode 7 or 8.
Yep. And the impressive thing about him, right, is that he had like a 5.6 ERA with the AAA Charlotte when he was with the White Sox. He's come over to the Red Sox, the better of the two Sox. And now he, I think in like 19 innings pitched, has a like 2's ERA, something like that. Might even be a sub 2. I could be wrong. And the big thing that is impressive to him, and this is Bailey's favorite freaking thing to do, added a cutter to his arsenal, because the issue with him was he only had a couple pitches. So now he was talking about how he was pitching off his fastball, and his fastball is electric now, but now he has that cutter that really just kind of dives away from the fastball, and he can pitch off that. You can get ahead with strike one, go to the cutter. He can, flip flop that. So he seems very confident with his arsenal. It seems like he's really embracing what Bailey, Breslow, and the whole organization as a whole is doing with him. And it's, I don't want to say paying dividends yet because it hasn't happened at the major league level, but he's looked very successful at AAA.
I really want to mention his Worcester AAA stats since being picked up off waivers by the White Sox, because he had, like we talked about, over an 11 ERA in 10 innings with the White Sox in AAA for them. But the stuff was absolutely electric. And the second you get him in Bailey's laboratory, we haven't mentioned that in a while. Bailey's laboratory. Add a little fourth pitch mix, and he's going to be something. A menace, a lefty with extreme amount of velocity, extreme amount of movement on his pitches. He has a 1-2 record with the Woo Sox right now. That's not what we're here for. He's got one save. It's a 1.69 ERA in 12 games, 16 innings pitched. He has an opener role in one of these outings as he started a game. He has 3 earned. He gave up 1 home run in 16 innings, near 2 complete games worth. 19 strikeouts in 16 innings to only 9 walks. He hasn't hit a batter yet either. That's a 1.13 whip and a batting average against of a 167.
Opponent's batting average of 167
in those 16 innings pitched for Worcester. Yes, sir, Bob.
How many punches is that?
In those 16 innings, he has 19 punchies to 9 walks. Dude, I want you to understand this. This is when we called up Cam Boozer's numbers, but that much more effective in swing and miss worthy.
I like that.
This is your lefty reliever where Cam Boozer and Brennan Bernardino's innings pitched and usage is getting up there right now. This guy can give you your second wind, lefty specialist-wise, out of the bullpen here for this last sprint going into the All-Star break, where you can reset, look at the trade market, look at what you got in the minor leagues, and look at what you got on your roster actively in the major leagues, and make your determination on what you need to do for this last sprint for the season. And I think Bailey Horn is a really, really, really sneaky add into this bullpen going into the second half of the year. Having a lefty reliever blowing piss missiles for fastballs, having a wipeout breaking ball, adding a cutter to it too. Just a swing and miss lefty is invaluable the deeper you get into the year. And man,
I will say this, whenever you pick a guy that intrigues you, they normally pan out pretty good. You had texted me like 2 years ago, it might have been, Jason Foley was that first one. Mason Miller. Okay. Was
Bobby Brown, right? The guy from
not Bobby Brown. Michael Bowden. Was that it?
Yes. And then the one from the Cubs that has been doing really well with the nasty 12-6 curve. That's him?
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
Or maybe it's Brendan Bowden, whoever it was.
No, it's not Bowden. No, this guy is Billy something or Ben. It's a BB.
Ben Brown?
Yeah, I think it was Ben Brown. That's what I said, right?
Ben Bowden.
Brown, yeah. Ben Brown. It's Ben Brown.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's Ben Brown. Without a doubt in my mind, I'm looking at it. 110%.
110%. Yeah, it is Ben Brown. Would you look at that? Not that I ever doubted you one bit.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
But my whole point,
That was during spring training.
yeah, when you pick a guy, he tends to do pretty well. So that excites me. However, I feel like anybody you add to this bullpen outside of like a player with like a profile like a Brad Keller or Chase Anderson is going to be exciting because of what this organization do. Now, I have one last question for you. I'm sorry, the good times keep rolling here. Once I get going, I stop. And this is all our closing thoughts, and I appreciate you guys for sticking around for this. But if you're an organization, so let's just say the White Sox, for instance, right? Your major league team sucks. Your minor league system sucks. You get a guy like a Bailey Horn who you DFA and gets picked up on waivers by the Red Sox. How do you not look at that and be like, man, we need a change of direction in our like minor league and talent acquisition or whatever the hell it is?
Everywhere.
How do we not just fire fucking people? Because again, we brought in people like Andrew Bailey. We brought in somebody like Craig Breslow. We brought in Kyle Bodie. We brought in Jason Ochart, okay, who was the right-hand hitting guy for a driveline. We brought in all these minds that are smart. They see numbers, but they also see the effectiveness that these pitchers have and that there's something more under the tank, and they take them, and then they've turned them into something special. And the only thing I can think of, right, is we had an organizational change this year. We had Ryan Brazier, who was a great reliever for us, and then stunk, absolutely stunk. And I'm not blaming it on him, but he stunk. Goes to the Dodgers, learns a cutter, and is an absolutely filthy reliever. Dave Bush clearly did not have the right mentality, whatever it was, but it was clearly not the right fit for the Red Sox. So now they went out and made a change, and we have Andrew Bailey. So how are you, if you're not the Chicago White Sox, like, man, we need a change of direction badly?
If they don't, like, it's apparent that they don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think that's
It's been
exactly
happening for years, man.
ding, 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 ding. Like, and I feel like the Blue Jays are borderline close to that, but not organizationally. But
And when they trade away these guys that once in a blue moon, like the Crochets or the Robert, that pan out and they trade them, they're constantly getting back guys that don't really pan out to do anything at all.
well, think about what they wanted for Dylan Cease. They wanted Bello and one of, I think, Meyer too, or something like that. Which
Like,
or
fuck off.
at first, now I'm like, yeah, I'll fucking trade you Bello for Dylan Cease, but no, like, they wanted very high level prospects for a Dylan Cease. Now, I have no doubt the asking price for a Garrett Crochet or Luis Robert, who again has a very controllable contract. And the reason I'm talking about these two is because they were two that intrigued me for the Red Sox at the trade deadline. I have no doubt the price tag is going to be high on these players, and if you want somebody like that, you're going to have to part with a big three.
I feel like Masa Yoshida has to be a big trade piece into that pie. And I just don't see the Red Sox putting Masa Yoshida, who they locked up multiple years, and the whole vision was we're going to take care of you, make this your home, and throw him into a dumpster fire situation like that. I feel like they would treat him a little better. I don't know if that's realistic to see the Red Sox going with the White Sox in a trade. I mean, it's happened multiple, like in years past with the Chris Sale trade, but do you think Luis Robert is a good fit on this team? Because I quite frankly can't see him being a good fit, and our outfield is so strong to begin with. The Garrett Crochet thing makes sense to me outside of the injury history here, but I just don't know. I feel like there's better options for us out there than the White Sox. Not to burst your bubble, but that's my 2 cents on the White Sox. So.
I agree with you there because the more that I do think about it, like a Robert doesn't make sense for this team considering how strong our outfield has been defensively. The one thing he supplies is a right-handed bat and, a potential superstar level bat as well, who's controllable for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So he has the
rental
feeling of anybody, and exactly that. He's not a rental like a Pete Alonso to some extent. Crochet obviously very much so intrigues me just because of what he's done this year, and I think he's put himself potentially into that Cy Young conversation, like a down vote ballot or mid tier, I should say, maybe even top 5, 6. But his injury history makes me nervous, and I think you had just said that. but that makes me slightly nervous when it comes to him. But he's an upper echelon potential ace type starter that the Red Sox kind of need right now.
That they do. And I don't know if there's a ton of better / more available options outside of Garrett Crochet here in this trade market this year. But if I were the Boston Red Sox, that's not going to be my trade that I would go for. Just too much injury risk on both of them.
Well,
I can't wait for our trade.
I was just going to say, you guys will get all of this and more on our trade podcast with the couple weeks leading up to the trade deadline.
I think the good time to do that one is during the All-Star break when we're not going to have much to talk about anyway, and we're going to be like jonesing for a pod record.
Yeah, I think that would be a good one. And ironically enough, I'm actually going to be right around for that because I was supposed to go to the second Zach Bryan concert, July 17th, and my sister-in-law, her boyfriend and her broke up. And so I was like, can I be your date to that? And she's like, absolutely. We planned this months ago. She just texted my wife tonight and goes, hey, do you think Brandon would be mad if my friend so-and-so like gets the ticket instead of him? He can say no and all this stuff. And she's like, well, I really want you to go. My wife said that. And I was like, nah, let her go with her friend. She's going to have more fun sitting with her friend because they're different rows. So I would have been sitting with my sister-in-law. And granted, I would have had a blast with her, but I was like, just let her take her friend. So my whole point to all this is that I will be around on the 17th, the day after the All-Star game, and I'm going to be jonesing for shit to do.
Beautiful. We also have to do a little draft pod conversation at some point in the near future, as that's during the All-Star break a little bit, right? So we're going to have to get into that.
We're on there July 10th or 12th. I forgot which one it is, but it's
we'll have to do that while I'm in Georgia or something.
Yeah. Well, you're just going to have to bring the laptop and maybe the camera or
bring this shit is portable. I'll bring the Adel probe to Georgia.
Yeah, there you go. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the pod.
In classic fashion, we turned a podcast that was going to end into one that is 35 minutes longer just for you.
Yep, we'll be at 9:30. Trotta said, and I'm looking at it. It's 10:30 now. But you know what though? That is generally the most fun thing about these is once you get going. Like I was exhausted before this again. I got home at 2 a.m. last night from Zach Bryan. I had to work all day today. I was exhausted. But once I get going with you, you just lift my spirits up.
Oh, you do the same thing for me, Mac, and it is just so refreshing, especially after a long, long day. It's just nothing better. And when we get off, it's like you get that, we have that high for another like 10, 15 minutes after we take a nice little sip, have our nice warm glass of milk.
Maybe a little
we get nice and tired. Yeah, maybe a little to into our own oven mitts, slap on both. Yes, sir. Excuse me, yes, ma'am. And we also put on both oven mitts, and just rub that shit out, frisk free. But yeah, that'll do it for the pod. Thanks for listening. Go use that discount code with 44 Pro Custom Gloves and whatever else you're going to buy on that website. Help us help you. Godspeed.
Smooches.